All right, welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Vinny.
I'm Dylan. Today we're going to kind of look over some of the new Omicron scary news that's coming out, the odds of it infecting the market, and what that means for your portfolio. So a little updates for you.
All right, if you guys enjoy this type of stupid stock market content of two stupid guys trading stocks, by all means give a like and subscribe below. I just stroked out the middle of that sentence. Get to it.
Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks.
Just to show everyone that we kind of do everything live and don't edit that, we're keeping that. There's no better way to make a mistake of being stupid while messing up on the word stupid.
That's totally fine. Oh, man. Big scary virus.
Yeah. What do you think of the location of Biden's fist?
I mean, I think it should go through the virus, you know?
Through the virus? I was trying to go for like break through the ceiling. I don't know if that's going to go through.
Demonetized.
It's from a movie. All right, let's go.
Oh yeah, man, this has been crazy. I don't know if you've been following the UK data, but it's amazing how aggressively it's. Whoop.
I have some of the UK data in here as well as some South Africa. There's a lot of conflicting stuff, so I try to just take reliable information. But basically, Omicron has reached 89 countries. COVID-19 cases involved Omicron are doubling every 1.5 to 3 days. The overall from multiple different countries was 2 days.
Yeah.
But this was the span, 1.5 to 3.
Yeah.
The Delta variant currently makes up about 96% of coronavirus cases. Omicron makes up 3.
In the U.S.
Huh? Yeah.
In the
In the U.S.
Yeah.
It's very different in Australia, UK, and South Africa.
South Africa is like 98% Omicron. UK was kind of switching over, depending on what part of the country you were talking about. Within London, it had like just crossed 50%, but it's probably getting more and more aggressive than that.
That is important. This page I should have put US in big bold letters. This is
CDC. People get, but yeah. Oh God.
Yep. So Netherlands, they did begin a nationwide lockdown, which can be fairly concerning. The NFL, NHL are postponing games. Anyone who's in the fantasy playoffs, not Vinny, but I am.
Number one in the toilet bowl.
Broadway musicals canceling, postponing, and several college basketball games canceled.
Yeah.
And there's more events. I just put these ones.
Yeah, some highlights. We hadn't really thought about this for a while, right? The NFL said over 100 players tested positive this week, and this is still a Delta thing where it's in the U.S. We're mostly flat, but we're flat at a high level with Delta.
Yep.
Pre-Omicron taking off here, which is a little worrisome.
Study by the LKS Faculty of Medicine at the University of Hong Kong. The Omicron may spread up to 70 times faster than Delta variant. However, it has far fewer infections of the lung. Basically, they found bronchial infection was much higher, but it didn't actually spread down to lung tissue. I won't get too, that's what they said.
Bronchioles are in the lung.
but it's the tubes down to the actual alveoli.
Okay. Just doesn't actually invest in
it just stops at the branch.
Tissue. Yeah, okay.
Apparently it stops at the branch. I don't know. I'm not going it. This is Hong Kong data. All right.
I saw 8 times more infectious basically than Delta was the number I had seen.
It's that everything is a little bit different, which is why I put this slide right here. This is great timing. This is a South African study. So risk of hospitalization from Omicron was 29% lower compared to hospitalization rate during the first wave of the virus. And people who were previously infected with Delta strain were at a 40% risk of reinfection with Omicron. And then the Imperial College London, complete opposite results. No evidence of Omicron being less severe.
Yeah, but they don't have a large enough sample size.
I agree.
Yeah.
They don't have a large enough sample size. South Africa does.
Yeah, but the disease, the kind of Omicron has been wildly different between the two countries. Whereas you look at South Africa, over 70% of South Africans had antibodies to the virus before this. It was a widespread community spread, whereas The UK has had a lot of vaccination. The UK vaccination rate is like 78%. I want to say it's higher than the United States, which is right around 70.
Yeah, I think isn't Australia 90?
I'm not sure what Australian vaccination rate is. Yeah,
It was 90.
Basically what we're kind of seeing is that if you were infected with the COVID virus early on, you have very, very little resistance to Omicron. If you get infected with Delta, you have some immunity to reinfection with Omicron, 40%.
Yeah.
That's in the ballpark of what I've seen. If you've had
From varying countries, I found between 15 and 40. 40 was the highest.
if you've had vaccination, the 2-shot series of mRNA ones, you have some immunity to Omicron. And then if you have had 2 shots plus booster, it's pretty good. Like 75-80% is what like the numbers I've seen look like.
I left that out because there was a lot of conflicting data from other countries. This is why this thing is really interesting, because I think that was American data. That was 80%, correct?
Well, up to that, yeah. With the 3-shot series, yeah.
Yes. And then there was some data that came out of, I think it was New Zealand, that was like the exact opposite. So it's really hard in what you want to. This is a new strain. So basically, people with the biggest sample size are going to have the best evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
So the people with the smaller sample size, there's too many variables. It's like when you flip a coin, heads or tails, you get tails 8 times in a row. It looks like that's how that always works, but that's not how that works. All right, let's go to this might trigger some people here.
Biden's message.
Biden's message. So I want to send a direct message to the American people. Due to the steps that's not how you spell. Is that how you spell?
We've taken?
Yeah. We've taken Omicron has not yet spread as fast as it would have otherwise done, but it's here now. It's spreading and it's going to increase. We are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for the unvaccinated, for themselves, their families, and the hospitals they'll soon overwhelm. But there's good news. If you're vaccinated and you have your booster shot, you're protected from severe illness and death. Pretty solid message.
Yeah. Defines what do you mean by protected, but have some protection.
Yeah, there's some loose guidelines there.
Yeah, I agree. That definitely the lesson is definitely get your booster if you've already been vaccinated.
Pretty much. This was the clonal cases in England of all variants. A lot of people haven't heard some of these variants because they were kind of dead on arrival. But the important thing here is the slope, right? So green is Omicron, and then that I'm kind of colorblind. Is that gray or purple?
Looks like a purple, like a lilac.
Okay, I'm like borderline colorblind, so this is really difficult for me. But the one that Delta's pointing to is the slope is really the issue here. Go to the next slide.
Yeah, so what you're going to see is a lot of, unfortunately, it's going to add to supply chain disruption because there's going to be, although people generally will have probably milder illness, but there's going to be a lot of people out of work.
There's going to be a lot of people out of work. We're going to actually address the inflation part here too. This was a pretty cool graph that I found. It was out of Johannesburg. New confirmed cases, 7-day moving average. Once again, look at the slope. The slope is kind of quite terrifying.
Yeah.
It's definitely a problem. But yeah, also it's important that everyone looks at the dates. These are not happening concurrently at the same time. So look at the Delta date versus the first wave date. It's very different.
Yeah, they're just trying to compare the R naught, right? That transmissibility rate.
Yes, exactly. So that's definitely not great. You interpret that you want. Here's the big dilemma. All right. So we spent a shit ton of money to boost our economy in the wakes of COVID. Everyone knows it. We added a bunch to our deficit, as sometimes you kind of have to. That's why you have that. The Federal Reserve needs to raise rates to combat inflation. But if they do it too quickly, we're screwed. If they do it too slowly, we're screwed. There's a real fine line. We got to tiptoe there.
Yeah.
This raises the question, are we going to do this every time there's a variant?
Yeah.
We kind of did this with Delta. Now it's things like we're going to do with Omicron. No one knows. No one can tell the future. We don't know. There could be a million more variants. This could be the last one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. But
no. Yeah. The interesting thing, too, is that right now, the Federal Reserve, since they've been buying this $120 billion of securities a month and the interest rates are zero, like they're they don't have a lot of ammunition to go to war with, against like a
Nope.
economic shutdown or something like that. Not that I'm saying that's going to happen, but like they would be a little handicapped. What are they going to do? Start buying another $120 billion a month? Like increase their asset purchases?
And this is right after Jerome Powell just said that we're going to decrease the bond buying at an accelerated rate, and how they're projecting 3 different rate hikes for 2022. That's pretty huge. You really you can't start buying a bunch of bonds and then tax yourself on those bonds by increasing rates. You really can't do both.
Be brilliant.
It would be very hilarious. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be. We would all be screwed.
Yeah. The ultimate taxpayer kind of system.
And then someone always brings this up saying they cannot increase rates because then they have to pay interest on the money that they already owe. That's true. But if they don't, we're going to continuously have like 8% inflation every month. So there's a little bit of a balance there.
Yeah. 10% if you believe Bill Ackman.
10% if you believe Bill Ackman. We'll label that video here. This is the SPY. All right. So when we've had, I don't want you to really look at this. Just kind of look at this data here. This is just chop. This is impossible to trade. No one knows what's going to happen. It is responding really well to this 50 moving average in the past, but it's almost impossible to know what's going to happen here. I exited my Q puts because they were so far out of the money, because I started doing my Q puts when they were at like 360, right? So I took a decent loss on that and I sold here. And then, because I sold, the whole market tanked. Is what it is. But obviously this does not look good. It is on increasing volume. However, you could easily argue, Dylan, we've had 10 days in the last 15 days of insane volume, and you're absolutely correct. So,
exactly.
This is the Qs. Once again, it's almost like we're finding value around this 380 to 395 range. No one really knows what's going to happen. To me, I'm actually going to open up another QQQ short. Yeah, I know. But it's going to be a much longer. I'm going like 14 to 16 months out.
Okay.
And my strike price is going to be 360. So
yeah, is that the 200-day moving average?
200 moving average right here.
Yeah. So it looks like it just broke through the 50, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's done that in the past. And we did, this is a hammer, but we did end up a little bit higher. I'm sorry, this is a spinning top, but we did end up a little bit higher. So it's really hard to know what's going to happen when each day there's a news article that's good or bad.
Completely understood.
It's, this is where technical analysis kind of takes a crap, because it's entirely on if Joe Biden says good things or bad things. And there's no way that a moving average can predict that. So.
Yeah. Very true. All right, guys. Well, let us know what you think about this. We'll catch you in the next one there.
And if you're going to short the Qs with me, which I've been doing unsuccessfully for too long of a time.
Yeah.
Boom.
Dangerous move. See you guys in the next one.